Okay, we're good.
Call meeting to order.
Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we have a few changes on the consent agenda. Letter D, consider approval of a financial donation from Moore County Electric Co-op Operation Roundup for band. Letter E, consider approval of financial donation from Freeborn Moore Electric Co-op Operation Roundup for Forest Scientific water table for the shop. F, consider approval of a financial donation from Freeborn Moore Electric Co-op Operation Roundup for the lounge remodel. And G, consider approval of a financial donation from the Lyle American Legion for the Huddle video software and basketball warm-up jerseys for girls basketball. Need a motion to approve the,
I'll make a motion to.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to approve for approval of minutes from the board meeting of September 21st, 2022.
I'll make the motion.
Jamie, now I can't find the Zoom link.
It is on the website page.
So that will go a little bit.
The link on the agenda works. She can find the agenda.
Need a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes.
Make a motion to approve it.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Community reports, highlights and recognitions.
So the homecoming seems like a long time ago already. 2 weeks ago. This year, the committee, instead of a one person doing it, it was a committee of staff members, and I think it was about 9 of us. Went very smoothly. I mean, it was nice to have not all on one person. So I just want to thank the entire community, even Pacelli, for their assistance in making homecoming successful this year. So
Any no public comments? School board committee updates, negotiations committee.
We have an MSCA tentative agreement and it's on your agenda for approval.
Legacy committee.
The walkathon was hugely successful. Huge. Raised over $6,000. Did caramel apples and the weekend's harvest fest. Let's see, upcoming events. So the Friday, Saturday. I was, but I've had a lot. Okay. I think it might be that Friday after Thanksgiving. Well, one of those 2 days. We'll just say that it's that we're gonna, in conjunction with the city, that we're doing kind of Christmas in the city, and then the legacy will do a craft, no reading, and I hope, beyond hope, Santa might come for a visit. And then he might even take a tour around town, drawn the horse-drawn carriage, So it could be a good time.
I know where you can get a horse-drawn carriage.
I've heard about
That's
one,
my
so,
business.
that's, I hear that's going to happen sometime soon, and then also the beginning to plan the youth basketball. And I think we're moving our tournament from December into February.
I can tell you the exact date. It's just if I might.
It's, fourth.
Fourth, why isn't it? Fourth and fifth. Yeah, it's the fourth and fifth. The fourth, well, the boys. is the
Yeah,
fourth.
yeah. So that's about it for right now. Still lots of good things, got new members, got some great ideas. Great participation, so it's been great.
Community education.
Okay. We've had a number of relatively successful classes. We have quite a few coming up. November, we have some events going on with Berg's Nursery. And that has been wildly successful as far as sign up, and that I have multiple classes that are full. And then we have a couple of other crafty things in December as well. And Beauty and the Beast on December 18th. That's right. So cool. So super exciting. You were doing I didn't do Beauty and the Beast.
But I'm just saying,
overall,
overall, it's so like, it's just really awesome.
Just need lots of people to come.
Very good.
Finance committee,
Did not meet.
LPAC committee.
We have not met, but when are we meeting? Did you send out an email about that, trying to find a day?
Which one?
LPAC. I can't remember.
I would think shortly.
Yeah, right. So yeah, shortly.
Facilities committee.
We did meet, didn't we? Last week. Couple of things that we talked about, there's some issues. We talked about the sidewalks. There are certain areas that there's some lifting because of the age of the building with freezing and thawing. There's a crack in that Mr. Hanson's class fixed out here late last week. We talked about some other issues with the multi-purpose gym floor, the greenhouse, how to utilize the greenhouse in all optional ways, because it's not being used for greenhouse issues right now. I think the biggest thing we talked about, there's been some high energy use that was discovered between Freeborn Mower Cooperative and Bradley in their communication. And so we were looking at, there's just during the summer, some of the areas of the building where it was running and we didn't notice it until the bill came through. So some of that in talks with Greg, who's through Predictive, is that it was probably a computer, not necessarily the computer, but some of the settings inside that were that it was enabled, throughout the summer when it didn't need to. So some of it is, the system is old. They've told us that we do need to replace it, but the price tag is extremely steep in our opinion. So even Greg agrees with the price of it, but it's kind of one of those proprietary issues that to get it to work, it has to be that system. So we did find they adjusted the calendar within it and it seems to be working now. And
So is that something that we will have to remember to do?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, and it's not without even realizing it, it could have, if the prices didn't go up, we probably wouldn't have realized the issue. But because it was substantial enough, someone did discover it, and so we were able to figure out. We're not sure that is the reason, but we're confident that is the reason. So
Talking to the guy at the utilities, it's like our power used to drop considerably on the weekends, and it didn't this summer.
Mm.
So AC is definitely the biggest contributor.
Yep.
To our power usage, so.
Busy in here this summer too.
It was. So that was,
Certainly more than the previous couple of years.
we are looking at, also I'm awaiting quote. Well, I need to find the company that does our key fobs. Because Sellers could possibly do it, but it would, it's a different system that we currently have. So I'm working with Brandon to find who the company is that is now working on our things, because we would like to add one, a key fob if possible, down to by the concessions to allow for coaches and Mr. Vidier to get in the building and not have the door propped. And then the last thing is we are looking possibly our scissor lift or our lift that we have. It's not functional to the needs of the building at this point, and so we're looking at possibly what would be the trade-in and getting a new one, but. So I know finance, we're gonna meet right after this and chat for a few minutes about that, so. So,
Good. Library committee.
we have not met. Okay.
Smack board.
Before I talk about that, I do want to bring up back to community ed. This past weekend, we had our fall fest and a huge shout out kudos to Amanda Frank for setting up the whole thing. And just,
It was
she did a great job with everything and we only hope that every year it'll continue to grow. I thought, all things considered, for being the first year for bringing this back, there were like 22 vendors,
Mhm.
which I think is a huge amount for a first year. And I thought the foot traffic was really great for also being first year, small town,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah,
not
you just
being
never
part of it.
know, yeah.
No, and so
Don't know.
hopefully we'll be able to just keep it going, and so it was a lot of fun. Okay, back to the SMEC board. They're looking at storage being an issue and classroom space. There's something running out of classroom space. Looking at wanting to, on that north side of the parking lot, put up a garage to help with storage and things like that, but there's just some zoning issues, some other things, hurdles, but at least that's what we're starting to look at.
The school's on board with all that.
Are you talking the storage facility, these
The garage.
or the
yeah,
bus garage?
The bus garage, the van garage. The other
I don't know if it's 100%
storage for shop equipment.
because of the price tag is enormous, so.
It was originally part of,
I guess I have a hard time when we
Phase
need
one.
stuff.
We don't have one.
I know,
And then they'll go build one out there.
Yep.
I get they need it, but so do
but they
I.
have the funds, we wouldn't be re-levying, and we wouldn't be
Right.
asking for anything else. So
Well, I
it's
just.
still a long ways out.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless of it
Yeah,
all,
right,
it's
right.
still a long ways out. What else?
So Houston
That's
has
right, that was-
formally informed HFed, similar to
they're
SMAC,
out.
that they are leaving. And so right now, nothing has been considered as far as what Houston's gonna do, but it could be, one of the options is to join SMAC. What I shared with
It's-
Dan was, there's gotta be a clear plan of action of what's gonna happen, because remember, Houston has an online school. So that is there's some pluses that might help all the smaller schools, but also has some issues. So we need to look at all of that and
Other things
discuss.
that we've voiced as a board is saying to make, it's one thing if you want to start developing out towards the east and picking up a bunch of other schools that would probably back out of HVED. However, wanting to make sure that the services that are done so well for our district or our consortium that has established this does not get affected, that it would be more of a benefit than a hindrance. So it's dynamic.
The other thing that he put in the report that I sent you guys was, so for the last several years, there's been a caveat or called, well, SMEC has been instrumental in starting to grow your own. So having teachers that wanted to go back to get their something related to special ed and another endorsement. Due to an interpretation of state law or federal law, the state now says that funding mechanism is no longer available. So the system that has been successful for SMAC getting special ed teachers is now, well, not available. So another hindrance to getting teachers licensed. And be honest, we have a staff member that's being affected by this decision. So So he is going to, other schools have been hit harder with the situation. And so right now there's some lobbying going on that Dan is working on. And so,
Fighting hard for this, because it's one of the things that we're very proud of.
Mhm.
Well, it's not very often that you have staff members that want to go back,
Yeah,
and we have one.
and
that
we need
wants
them.
it.
We need
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, financial report.
Sure. And first up is our monthly report. Starting to look like something now that we're through 3 months of the year. Revenues are still a little wonky to look at, but let's not even talk about revenues. It's coming, it's supposed to. We're getting our metered payments from the state twice a month. The amounts differ based on all sorts of different factors on a given year. Last year we got more. This year we're back to pretty close to what we had 2 years ago. So I'm not gonna get excited. Looking at our expenditures, yeah, we are a little higher than our expenditures from the last couple of years. We ran some programs in the summer that we haven't been running. So we've also had a lot of things that have been just straight up dormant. Anything, we ran more programs this summer than we would in a normal year. And both of the years that you're looking at for comparisons are COVID years. So, yeah, but either way, items that make sense if you look at them.
I missed that.
Administration expense, district support expense.
Hoping nobody saw it.
Yeah, it's about the only one right now, but things are,
Oh, did he really?
I'll just say there's unique factors all over the place that make any given line look a little odd right now, but a lot of those will iron themselves out over the course of the year as we progress. Others will iron themselves out when I do a revised budget.
That was Alex.
So,
Boy, he had an awesome run.
I looking at salaries and wages though, I mean, we're right on with the budget. Same for
I think
benefits.
that's awesome anyway.
Yeah, one I'll
There
definitely
was
have
a
my
tough
eye on is fuel costs, because we've got,
I
we
know.
filled up the big tank to start out the school year. That was a large bill. So, I did know enough about the fuel prices increasing that I did bump that budget a ways. But, if it keeps up like it's been, then it's gonna get rough. So. Okay, so, we had a custodial cart for those of you who are online. All of a sudden, none of us could hear anything. All right, so any questions on the general fund? I know I didn't say anything definitive about anything at all, but if you see anything in particular you want to talk about, let's do it.
Here.
All right, flipping to the next page is our food service and community service, debt service, and custodial funds. Food service is going to be a little weird for a while here. Tonight, we have on the agenda to approve a contract with Taher. Until that contract is signed and submitted to MDE, they will not approve our food service application for the year, which means we can't get paid for any reimbursements. So our September revenues here don't have any reimbursements. They wouldn't anyway, because we couldn't submit them till October. But when we look at this next month for October, still may not have any, because we're a good chunk of the way through October. There's a little bit of lag on how quickly they pay us that. So we very well may not have any food service revenues still yet. But everything that I've heard is that it's going swimmingly well. So looking forward to that. On the food service expense side, we've paid one small bill for August and one large bill for September. Both in October, I think. So we're gonna have a little bit of a ramp up from a cost standpoint there. As I think they refilled our freezer a little bit and refilled our coolers a little bit with different foods than what was there before, so. Yeah, things that haven't passed their expiration dates yet, and then good stuff. Community ed, you heard from Krista, things are happening. It's pretty awesome. Overall, the biggest costs in that fund are always preschool. So through September, not a whole heck of a lot going on there, but that picks up now. Debt service, we did make our interest payment for the summer, so that's been done. We brought in more money than what that payment is, so that's awesome too. I'm gonna flip over the treasurer's report here. Cash balances are down a little bit in comparison to previous month, but still very strong. So very nice to work with that, and nice to get some good interest on that stuff. I'll flip on to payments here. You might notice Reborn Mower Electric there. That's one of those large energy bills that we were talking about earlier, nearly $10,000 that time. So rough. Smith Schaefer, those are our auditors. That was a progress bill payment. There's one more of those still to come on the next bill. You can see a negative for Bob Rogers Travel. They lost our check, so I avoided it and have reissued that. I believe you'll see that later. EF Explore America, that is the DC trip?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think it's DC/New York this time around.
Correct.
So that's the first payment on that trip. Now I got two different travel companies going. In town, I'm trying to keep all those guys straight. Apple Inc. We got another round of tablets. These will go to our youngest learners this time rather than our oldest learners. That is funded through the Emergency Connectivity Fund. So we will get most of that back in federal revenues. They cover the devices, but not the cases. So we don't have to pay for the cases, but. Yeah, that Bob Rogers Travel is there for twice as much, second time, 2 rounds worth of it. The fuel bill that I referenced, nearly $5,000 for Freeborn County Co-op. I think we also paid for the Southern Minnesota inspection there. That's redoing the backboards. So that's all done and paid for. A little higher up on the page, AIM Electronics. That's the new shot clock. So got both of those done and taken care of. And you do see 2 payments there for Tahoe. So bit of an eventful check runs there, but any questions on any of those? Anything else you see that you want to talk about? All right.
Okay, need a motion to approve the treasurer's report and payment of district bills.
Oh my gosh.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Reports and presentations. Superintendent Jamie.
All right, you got a couple, probably more than I normally have. This weekend is MEA weekend. Generally, I think that is grandfathered in as a title, even though it's not really MEA anymore. So Thursday and Friday,
Very long time.
you know, there will be no school. And then Monday will be staff development. We're gonna be, teaching staff, Corey and I will be up at the Holiday Inn, working with our staff development with SMAC. In the morning, we're finalizing some stuff in the afternoon to do at our home site. While we are gone this weekend, or the rest on Thursday and Friday, the carpet will be put in at the office. So we'll be doing some moving out, moving back in the next couple of days. So some exercise for all of us. I wrote the other night, or I noticed our enrollment. We were at 277 at the late summer. We're at about 286 as of last Friday. I think in the past, you know, when I started, a lot of that was high school related, and now we're getting some middle school and some a few larger families coming in. So elementary and middle school that are the ones coming in. I'm just going to go down the list so I don't forget something. I noticed, or I emailed you guys about the regional centers of excellence. So that is an organization of support that's developed with state funding. The legislature passed this, that offering support and some other, basically support to schools. We have been identified as a target school in our elementary based on the results from our free and reduced students over the last now at MCAs. This is based on last year's MCAs and growth from 2018. So for the next 3 years, we will have the regional centers of excellence available to come to us and give us, you know, Corey and I and Ms. Donaldson some support as far as how to make some improvements, where to make some improvements. So we're meeting with them next month on that. Just for reference, Ms. Donaldson looked at this. She looked at the number of students that are getting some level of support, whether it's reading core and title. In general, K through 4, about 61% of our students in K through 4 out of 105 are getting some level of support. That's not including special ed. Okay. In the middle school, it's 36%. So that is kind of the numbers that we're up against as far as, you know, due to the loss of learning and during COVID, students transferring in from other schools that may not have been successful at our schools and coming here, and we've got to fill in those gaps. So that's the stuff that we are up against, you know, in those. And I think we both, speaking for you, I think we both are looking forward to meeting with those and getting some insight on things we can make some improvements, you know, for the next few years. So go for it.
Sorry to cut in
Go for it.
yours. So when kids bounce from school to school, and it might be from one state or one city to another one, and then they come here, right? And so some of them have bounced. And I think all the time we're often thinking about the kids and how that's really bad on their education. Like, obviously, for obvious reasons it is. They end up with gaps. But what happens is these kids are bouncing in and they have gaps. But what we forget is that it does put strain on the current classrooms, because now we're trying to catch these kids up, or maybe the behaviors that are coming with also are changing the classroom dynamics. And so that's kind of like a big epiphany we started having of like, there's a lot of things that play into effect here. It's awesome that they're coming to us and that they're finding success here. That's great. But now it's balancing, trying to figure that out. So to piggyback back off of what he said with the regional coming down and helping, I'm super excited for this.
It also gives credence to the importance why we
Yeah.
brought Catherine Clark in here as a behavioral, why we put
Mhm.
Ms. Sales, you know, and as a math interventionist, why we have Jamie. And I think Miss Catherine and Caitlin, our social worker, are an awesome team working with us, supporting our students who are going through, you know, some emotional stuff and socioeconomic issues. So they've done a tremendous job of communicating to the staff and working with them, you know, through some PLC times. And so it's been outstanding. All right, a couple of things. one of the things that I've been working on, and it's not complete yet, I gotta sit down with Heather, she's not learning about this right now, but we are working on improving some onboarding, in conversations with Bradley. Just making some improvements on the onboarding of staff so that we are making sure that they're initially trained on some things and, just setting them up for success. So they have some of that stuff that is taken care of and communicated right from the get-go, so that they don't come in, we're not surprising them or surprising us, something later on. So just working through some of the paperwork and communication with new staff. So thank you to Bradley for your help, and thank you for Heather for the work that you and I will be working on together in the future for that. The international trip, a letter will be sent out in the coming days to our students in, I believe, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So we had a meeting, Ms. Shepherd had a meeting for our international trip, and the number of people coming forward who are interested in it were not very great. So she brought up, could we do a 3-year rotation? So in the past, we've had DC 1 year international trip, or it was Spanish trip, then DC trip, and then international trip. Well, the problem without that, going to 3 years, and it's going every once in a few years, you'll have DC and international trip at the same time. That is doable, but as I had a parent, my wife, asked me about this, and I even brought up to Corey this afternoon. I am concerned about just the fundraising of this, and it feels, I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but there's a lot of fundraising going on too right now.
Yeah.
It just seems like we're fundraising families to death.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the solution is at, but I think it's, a DC trip is 2,400. An international trip, you're talking over $4,000. That's a lot for families, and in today's economy, that's tough for any family to find that. So I don't know if international trip is going to be something that's going to continue in the future. Maybe it's something that every blue moon or something like that, but we're making attempts. Ms. Shepherd, I kudos to her for, trying one last effort to see if we can get the interest in that. So I don't know if you guys have any input on the fundraising, but you guys all nodded. So I think you guys are in the same boat. It just seems like a lot.
Is there an option to maybe pair up with another school that is offering international trips? And
It could be, I mean, like even the band trip is another addition that we've added, and that's with Southland. So it very well, we could, I just don't know what other groups are doing.
I know that I talked to Ms. Shepherd and she said with the international trip, like, let's say we were to pair up with Pacelli. You're only allowed to have one contact person on there. So is it Laura Sheedy who's on that
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
So she's the contact for Pacelli. So if we were to join in, she would be the contact for the whole group, which that gets really confusing. And why would she have to organize our end? Right? We couldn't
Right.
have her and Mrs. Shepherd on for the contact because the company doesn't work that way. That's how Mrs. Shepherd explained, or Cynthia explained it to me.
I just wonder if maybe the advisor on our end just would work with the, or
Right.
vice versa, like,
Right.
that
To look
just seems
into
like
or-
there should be a way to,
Well, you would think that
Make
they'd be
it
able to
work.
add another.
yeah. You're not
Right.
talking 30, 40 kids,
No.
it's
They went-
probably.
I think Mr.
Handful.
Hagan took maybe 8 kids to, where did they go? A couple of years ago, Costa Rica or something like that. And,
Yeah, I think Ethan
And-
went to Costa Rica.
and this year was like, most of the kids that went this time were the ones who had previously graduated because of COVID. They pushed the dates back. So it's concerning, just the number of, and maybe it might just fall on that it's not,
Yeah.
the interest isn't there. So we'll have to see. Adding to the Taher discussion, I put in the newsletter, we've had more interest. Sometimes the students and parents need to be reminded that if they are getting a la carte items, that there is a charge to that. So I think some of the parents were a little surprised when they got a bill from us for that they're out, a kid's
Right.
been reduced,
Yeah.
or why is it going so fast? Well, an extra pizza is $1.50. So maybe worth it because it's cheaper than in Casey's, but it still adds up. looked into purchasing or at least finding out a bus price. We are 6 months out on a bus, so would like to hear some input as far as, we still have the 05 sitting there, right, Dave? That is, 04 is up there in age. Our rationale for the last few years is to get into a 3-year cycle. That would be next spring. On a bus, of course, the price is, not going down. So it's about 120, 130,000 where we bought the last one at what?
85,
Yeah.
90 maybe,
So,
maybe 96.
so, there might be some holdover buses, but are those the ones? I don't know. So, we're gonna get some decent, or we'll get some quotes for you guys as far as, and send that on to give you guys some time to ask questions, but, and of course, a lot of the push is to go to propane, and that's just not functional in outstate Minnesota, so. Yeah, that triggers the other one.
Yeah.
So on last week, a couple of us met with the campus beautification committee. There's a good discussion, just a preliminary one, talking about some things we could possibly do around here to, add some, new landscaping, maybe some learning areas outside. And so just know that you'll have, and maybe some signage, and so it's more to come, but just know that that committee has started. If there's anybody else in the community that's interested in that, has a vested interest, to reach out to myself, Carrie, or Krista. And the last thing I believe I have is, so we met last week with the 3 members from the Minnesota Homeland Security. And it was actually a very good meeting. We sat down for probably the first hour, was just a question and answer, things that issues that we've had over the years, some things that we've tried and hasn't worked, or some advice we got. And then we walked around the building to look at various things. They gave us some very good insight into what we can do. Some things on the relatively cheap and some things on the more expensive kind. So we're still waiting on an official feedback from them. But they gave us some really good feedback to start with. One of the most important thing that I think Corey and I were both intrigued was looking at our lockdown procedures and different things like that, in nowadays, the term lockdown to students freaks them out. They don't quite know what it means because they see lockdown, hence the incident that happened a few weeks ago. They're envisioning cops running in with guns and things like that. So it's changing some of the terminology, maybe utilizing a different system of that we can still get the same job, keep the kids safe, but maybe just changing our procedures that are more timely and efficient. Looking at also some security things, how we can adjust doors and different feedback by that. So it was a very good meeting. Tom was instrumental in getting them down here. They are, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. I thought it was a great meeting with them. So
I think gave insight into our office, like right when they walked in, layout of it. That was huge.
So I believe that is all I have.
All right. You ready for me?
All right, we're ready for you.
A couple things. We had the firemen came and visited. The Lisle Fire Department came last week, which was awesome. And I feel like our fire drills, our school-wide fire drills keep getting better and better, thankfully. I felt really good about this one. I don't know about you, Dave, but I felt good about it. We know where we need to improve. So Jamie and I need to take our walkie-talkies for a walk around the building and test different areas. So that's our big thing there. We have conferences next week. So we are K4 or K12 on Thursday, and the secondary, so 512 is going to be more of an open house. So parents can just come into the building. If they want Zoom or phone call, then they have to reach out to the teachers. We met, a few of us met leadership, just kind of talked about how we want to go about that, and felt that was probably going to be the most effective. because not everyone wants to come in. And then elementary is scheduling, and then Friday, just a reminder that K4 does not have school next Friday. 5-12 does, and preschool does, just because of conferences. We have the Lions Club is doing their coat drive again, so that we can help provide some winter wear for some of our families who need it, especially the students. We also are going to be opening up the Games We Will Play clothing drive again. So that'll be coming out. It was very successful. We're not doing anything as a fundraiser. We're just bottom line. Like, you know how you can increase the prices to
Right,
make it,
yeah.
we're not doing that. We
Oh,
just
okay.
want to charge it for what it is. But we're going to have it open so that it closes near Christmas, and then people have opportunities for Christmas gifts. That was kind of the whole intention. Wednesday, we're celebrating Unity Day. That's the bullying awareness in our school. Halloween's coming up. We're gonna have our Halloween parade again, so we'll kind of move forward with that. One of the things that we're working on this year with PLCs for our staff is to really look at their report cards and their like assessments and their grading. So elementary is really focusing on recreating their report cards so that they're more effective and standard-based, but driven towards what they're teaching also. And so they align more with what's actually happening in the classroom. And then creating documentation so that they can share with families, but also have some evidence or some like something to show parents on, this is where your child is, this is where another child or someone in the class, like grade level work would be. We find that that's been most beneficial and getting some more parent support at home. And also looking at with the group that's coming in to help based off of our free and reduce and our MCAs, just to start really looking at where do we have our holes in our curriculum? Is it in where is it in reading? Like, is it because these kids are coming in from all over? Is it because of COVID? Is it because of interruptions? What is it? Is it our curriculum? Is it our teaching? So just trying to dive in and figure out where is this hole and how can we fix it? I know myself, Julie Rice and Jamie Donaldson are participating in the Letters program, which is offered through the state, and it's a year-long, pretty intense, lots and lots of work program that we're doing that is kind of breaking down and analyzing reading and the struggles and the phonics and the basics. And so we're gonna start implementing some of that into some students, kind of piloting it with some to see if that helps. Yeah, that's all I got.
Where is there a drop off for the Lions donation?
Last couple of years, there's been a box. I
Yeah,
didn't,
they had it right outside the door.
Right,
yeah,
Oh,
she's
no,
not gonna do the box.
No, she just looking for sizes, family, and then she'll look for some. She said she was doing that,
Okay,
kind of like what they did last year.
but if we have some nice things, we can bring them in to her.
Yeah, Michelle.
Yeah, okay, so yeah. So yes, if you have some things that are gently used or new.
Yeah, I'll use- Items for action and discussion. Enrollment agreement discussion with St. Ansgar.
Okay. I'll go ahead, sorry, but so there is an agreement between St. Ansgar and Lyle. The last one that was in that file was based in 2003. There was one in 2002. And then nothing after that, so we're not sure. It's written, I have actually a copy for if you want some bedtime reading. Skimming over, there isn't anything as far as really anything substantial, but it basically is it's informative for me as far as the dates on the second page, as far as when a parent wants to come to here or there. There are some deadlines that are appropriate, but this can be terminated by either St. Ansgar approving to terminate or us. And what that would look like, I think we would just have to make that decision on our own, so. You have some things to.
Show you a little bit of data. Well, so it's, slightly better actually the last 2 years than it's been for a while. I got one more year that's hidden there, but it's a long time ago, so. So the numbers on, of St. Ansgar kids coming here, pretty well leveled off at 4. And the number of Lyle kids going down there has actually come down from when you can't see was actually 21 kids back in 16, 17. And, dropped down to 19 and 16 and 12, 13, 12. So, it's not the word, it's not terrible. I mean, yes, it keeps going. Honestly, it was less this year than it was the previous year, so. If we were gonna pull the plug on it, this would seem an odd time why, from a data standpoint. It's not having that big of a net impact one way or the other. Because, yes, it's lopsided their direction, but they're educating the kids. I mean, that's their,
So say we get rid of it. Well, and they still really wanted to see it. So could they go across and go?
I believe St. Ansgar would charge them tuition to the parents.
Or they would not accept them.
Or they say, no,
What
you can't
about
come.
those that wanna come here?
We would have to have the same discussion.
In particular. Who reached out to
I think it would be, if it was no longer a contract or an agreement. And whether a family wanted to go there or come here, I think. It would defeat the purpose if we accepted them or they accepted that without an actual direct bill to the family. It would defeat the purpose of getting rid of it. But if we did get rid of it, we would have to direct bill and that family would be on the hook to pay for that.
So it would eliminate them probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we got 4 kids and 3 of them are in one family that are coming here, so $28,000, we'd be asking them to pay us $21,000.
I was just,
Can I ask a question?
In their budget. Guess.
Is it a common thing amongst other schools cross state lines like that, or is it kind of a rarity?
Rare, Mabel Canton does it. Fairmont. Let's not talk about Fairmont.
Glenville did have it and they got rid of it a couple years ago.
Northwood, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if they grandfathered.
I think they did.
They did, okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's only so many border districts anyway.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
don't think
for
you do
some,
it.
it doesn't make any sense, like,
Hmm.
Kick people out.
there's no school near the border, like, we're very close to the border, it makes some sense. But if like Mabel Canton actually got their current agreement is because there was a merger on the other side of the border. And so the closest school to them actually was closed. So they have an agreement that if they're within a certain, like a certain zip code or certain number of miles from the border, then they'll take them, but they won't take them from downtown Decorah. So, kind of interesting setup that they have going on there, but
So Nellie has a question. Go ahead, Nellie. She's muted.
you can ask her to unmute. You
I
cannot
did.
make her not muted.
I did, but there you go.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Thank you. So we receive so much money per student in the district, correct? Attend our school?
Yes,
Yeah,
So we're looking at, we're down 12, so the difference is 8. So outside of what's on here, is that accounted for as well?
well, I mean, if those 12 kids came here and the 4 kids didn't come here, then it would be, we would get more money than what than what we're paying St. Ansgar. Because we'd get some other money as well.
Correct. So what is that, those 8 kids, the 8 kids difference, what is that amount to? is that accounted for on here?
It's not accounted for on there. All I'm showing you is the actual, ins and outs. Not the opportunity cost. But 8 kids would probably be about, I'm gonna say about 7,500 a piece.
I'm gonna
Which,
assume this,
Yeah.
if we end the agreement and doubt they're coming here. Cause they're be mad. They're not gonna, what I mean?
Unless you grant.
Well, then they would, that,
Right,
I know.
they would be bitter enough, they probably wouldn't, they'd choose to go to
anywhere.
neighboring 3 schools.
Yeah.
If they were to come here, we'd have somewhere around 60, 70
Right.
in revenue that we
Right.
don't have right now.
and we wouldn't be paying out 72, so. I guess I'd like you to think about it this way too. Yes, we pay out money to St. Ansgar. We also have PSEO that we pay out a considerable amount of money for. And we do it anyway. We have a lot of kids that choose, we have some kids that choose to go to Southland. We have some kids that choose to go to Glenville Lemons, quite a few that choose to go to Austin. Just kind of the environment that we're in. Yes, this is when we can drop the axe and say, no, we're not gonna do this. But I'm not
But
sure it
your-
helps us,
Your financial, opinion, it's a weird time to do it.
because it's. The balance is about as good as it's been. I mean, there was one year where it was 6, but, that was 5 years ago. The numbers have come down on both sides. Which I think that on our side, it represents a more positive image of our school. That there's only 12 going that way instead of 19. I think that's a big factor. But if you actually get down and drill into the kids, we know that on our side, 3 out of 4 are from one family. There's 2 families on the other side that I think are 6 kids between them. So there's,
Not that many, though.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
not a,
It's just a couple families.
it's just a few families overall, and like Jamie said, if you burn the bridge, doesn't mean they're gonna come here anyway.
right, yeah, I'm
So-
And to play devil's advocate though, Bradley, to PSCO and Southland, other thing, Austin, those are situations that we cannot control.
Correct.
This is one we can control.
We can eliminate the agreement, but we can't make the kids come here.
Right.
They have their reasons, whatever they are. We don't know what all of those reasons are, but some of them I'm sure are practical. Some of them are, some person sometime made them angry and they may or may not even still be here anymore. But, those kinds of things linger for ever. So. Could be they work in St. Ansgar. Bringing my kids with me. So,
Personally, a little bit torn on it, but it's a tough thing. So what are we looking for here? Are we looking for
I think it was just a
Just
discussion.
just a
discussion.
We
discussion?
used to talk about it a lot years ago, and I don't mind, maybe we can discuss it a little bit.
Is it worth updating this, given it's 20 years old? Just to simply have a fresh take on it?
I think that would be a good idea, Jamie.
Yeah.
Uh,
And possibly if you reached out to your counterpart, maybe there's one that's fresher than that.
There
It could be.
Yeah.
We did have some office turmoil between now and then.
Yeah, better to
Yeah.
look at something a little bit
Yeah.
more current.
The file head that I found a lot of the stuff was, yeah, there's some stuff, summer clean out. I told Heather already, there's some stuff in there that's, it still is, some of the stuff in there was children and family and learning. That's MDE's old name, like from 15 years ago, so.
Longer than that. I think it
So-
changed in 02.
So, needs to get some stuff, cleaned out, so.
Nellie's raising her hand again.
No, I'm not. I always,
Oh, I never
I'm
saw
not.
that. I'm
I
gonna,
forgot to take it down, sorry.
I just lowered your hand.
Okay, so consider approval of the contract with Tahar Incorporation. Motion to approve.
It took us a while to
We can
get
talk
this
about it
contract and we finally have it.
Was it weird that we didn't get it signed by the beginning of the school year? A little bit.
So definitely felt weird.
I mean, just.
My understanding is that this may often be the case, hopefully not quite this late.
Okay, I just, not blaming anyone, but it just seems weird that they're running it and now we're.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's a particular, it feels extra weird in the first year. I don't think it'll feel as weird
Right,
in
because
years
they're-
2, 3, or 7, but there is one particular person who should have the blame on it, and we don't need to talk about it. Not,
Okay.
not anybody that you'll ever meet, so,
Okay.
but.
Yeah, we haven't met.
Like that, like you said, next year it doesn't matter because they're here. So
Right.
they,
They're just gonna keep doing what they're doing, and
right.
I was really nervous about this I will say
Yeah,
about
yeah, a little bit.
August 15th. When we didn't have any staff hired yet,
Right.
and nobody had really come yet,
Right.
but then
That's
all of a
what- That's
sudden,
what Dave just said.
you know,
When no one shows up the first day of school,
and then.
And we had no
Scott
contract to say, yes, you have to be here. So
Right.
it's kind of,
that's the whole. They did, so I guess it worked out.
So then they did, and
So-
the wheels turned, and all of a sudden it's like, well, here's the piece of paper that doesn't have a signature on it, but. It's happening,
Yeah,
so
so is there like, this contract we're signing, is it from? Did you say a date? It's from,
July 1st.
okay. It's just-
Yep.
all right.
So if we in future years do a summer food service program. That'll be part of the deal. If we, for some reason, decide we're gonna do an after-school snack program, that'll be part of the deal. If we, pretty much anything. So
I don't know that.
you usually couple that with a school age care program, so.
The
Chicken.
chicken,
Chicken.
yeah, yep,
Yeah, that was good.
Very good.
It was very good.
very good.
So, I mean, I realized they did it to show everyone that it's good food, like,
It's kind of always like that though.
I haven't heard any complaints.
No, I haven't
No.
either.
Dave, you just ate it
No.
on Friday.
Good.
What'd you have, Dave? What'd you have?
Oh, it was just the chicken sandwich though.
yeah, no, it's fine.
No, it was super low key.
I just have
again,
a pickle on it.
Chicken sandwich.
again, the biggest thing is the amount that Joel has said when of trash,
The waste, yeah.
the
Oh,
waste
yeah.
taken out is, he goes,
Totally
amazing.
different.
It's kind of crazy.
I only had one, it wasn't really negative comment. He goes, one kid at football said, oh, it still is school food.
Well,
So,
yeah, it's
I
always
mean,
gonna.
It's like hospital
Well,
food.
it
I
is-
mean, the hospital
yeah.
food is
You
only
know,
so,
Yeah,
and there's gonna be some meals that kids are not going to like.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they've
Yep.
got that's a trial period
He
and
did say it was better. So,
And that, what you just said, Carl, is one of the reasons why was hard to pull the trigger on making a big change. Because
it-
regardless of who's making it, you're still required to have whole wheat bread
Right,
of some level, and everyone knows that doesn't taste as good. So that's,
Yeah.
no, I,
you
But
get, are
I have
we
not
griping
heard-
because of that, or are we griping because of this?
that was the most negative thing I
Yeah.
heard, and that's not really that. big.
I'd prefer white bread. Okay, we can take that feedback.
well, as Scott has told us, I think he coined the term, he churched it up. That's what, they're like, what? He goes, yeah, that's what we call it, churched it up. Add a little spice every once in a while.
Mhm.
And the ladies in there, I mean, they're working their tails off, but they are smiling. They're happy. I mean, it's just a different environment.
I would agree, I'd asked him about washing our water jug and towels. I said, can you still do that, or, cause I didn't, they go,
No,
no,
we- yeah,
yeah, we're good, they seemed, it was a different aura in the
Mhm.
kitchen.
Yep.
It wasn't as tense.
Yeah.
Correct.
That is factual. I think the biggest hurdle we're having is the kids, because some of the meals, they have no idea what it is. So in the morning, they'll go ahead and say, oh, I want this option. Because there's 2 hot lunch options, plus for secondary, there's 2, like a salad and a sandwich option too. So they technically have 4 options now instead of 1. And so they'll come in and they're all like, some of them will be like, oh, I want the first option. then they see it and they're like, nope, I want that. So there's been a couple times we've run out of food because,
Because of that.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
so we're trying to,
One of the things they told us from the get-go is that they will learn
yep,
our
Oh, yeah.
kids.
Yep.
And so they'll learn, that one's gonna be a little more popular. Don't care what they say. up
Yeah.
comes. So.
Do we make a motion? I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed?
You send it?
Yes, we will send it to you.
No, sorry, that was one of my daughter's friends in the car. I was just gonna say bye. I unmuted it right when she talked, so I'm sorry.
she, friend wants it sent.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, you too. Consider approval of the first reading of District Policy 722, Public Data and Data Subject Request.
All right, well, before I get into this one, Carl, I got the bad news for you. So this weekend I was looking to see what policies we have to update. There's only 3 annual ones, so I only have 3 to go over every year for you. So I'll find some extra ones for you, just for you. But actually, this one, so this one, I had the wrong policy in my hand, so we're gonna go off of that. So this one is the 722. So late last year, in conversations with other superintendents, there were some larger districts who were being pursued by unknown entities asking for public data. So again, any emails, any correspondence, a lot of that stuff is public data. So to the point, some of these districts were hiring people just to collect the data so they can send it, give it to these people who, for whatever use they wanted to use it. And mainly it was just a scam to put money to hurt the taxpayers. So MSBA worked diligently to get this policy. It is new. It gives us as a board, as administration, some structure as far as what we, need to do. Some of it is charging these people for the collection of the data. So in place, a lot of these bigger schools literally lost thousands of dollars because they were hiring these people when there was no reason for this. So no, unless they had something in place that charged, $1 a sheet, there was no way to recoup some of those funds. So that's what this is regarding. So this will be the first reading. We would have it the second reading in November. Waste of taxpayer money.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Opposed? Consider approval of 2-year contract with MSEA effective from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2024.
All right, so you have in your packet the, it's essentially the Cliffs Notes. What has been changed. The union has ratified the tentative agreement as well.
How many are in this thing?
The bargaining unit has 20-ish.
Oh,
The union membership, not as many.
oh,
So highlights are increases in starting pay, increases in wages, increases in health insurance, 403B, adding vision insurance. Let's see. There was some duplicate language on maternity, paternity, and adoption leave. It was like 3 completely separate sections, or I think it was maternity and then adoption, and there was nothing on paternity. So we squished all that together. Couple other little things that I think I think both sides of the table are maybe just a little bit proud of. We added a clause that allows drivers with a CDL to get paid an extra 50 cents per hour. So add just that little incentive to maybe go out and take care of that and be able to drive the bus, even if you're now a van driver. We bumped up the custodial rate for if they have an IEQ license. That one hadn't been changed in, I don't know how long, but it used to be 15 cents an hour, now bumped up to 30 cents an hour. Still not very much, but you know, that's 15 cents isn't a whole lot anymore. Also added a clause that will allow us to start people at something higher than the starting rate if their qualifications meet that. So we'll see what comes of that language in terms of who our candidates are and what qualifications we feel like they have. But we have some in a way that we haven't before. So hopefully between that flexibility and raising the starting rates, we're able to recruit people for our open positions. So when the time comes, so. Anybody else want to say anything on that? You know, we've got two negotiators. It's just one negotiation. Remember here, Nelly was the other one.
Okay. You guys do they consider back and forth like always.
Yes, I can just, on the front page, towards the bottom, where you see 115%. That was a big part, Bradley mentioned it, that the availability of offering someone comes with some experience. They find out our rate is this, they're starting at the bottom. They're most likely, we've had that happen where they just, I'm no longer interested. This allows us some flexibility as far as giving them a little bit more bump, and so that was a point of plenty of discussion over that part. So
Sounds good. Yes, second,
I'll second it.
all in favor? Opposed? Okay, consider approval of post-secondary enrollment contract with Riverland Community College effective from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
this is the standard.
Yeah, it's not in this one. It's in the original packet.
Yep, so this is the standard agreement that was sent out to all of the neighboring schools for the post-secondary.
If for those of you that may not remember, we have two options for how we can report a kid who's doing PSEO. We either have the college report them, and then the college gets paid whatever the state says is the appropriate amount, or we can report them and have a contract with the college. In the case that we have the contract with the college, we actually get paid more money for a senior than the college gets paid for a senior. So what the contract basically does is it says you school, high school, report the kid, take the money from the state. This contract will pay the college more than what it would get if it reported the student. And we still get more revenue then. So basically kind of splitting the difference between the two. So if we just had one kid, it's probably not worth it, but we got a bunch.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
Opposed? Consider approval of the 2022-2023 resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League.
And this is the standard annual decision to join Minnesota State High School League. We've already almost completed an entire season.
So if we say no.
Need a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? consider approval of a closed session to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent.
I think what we would do is, I don't know how we do this here, just put on mute and stop recording,
Right,
and then I just have this. So,
We record separately.
so
I'll make a motion to go into closed session at 7:11.
Need a
I'll
second?
second it.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
Krista?
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Any school board member comments?
I had a couple. I just wanted to thank the people that were involved with the homecoming parade. I know Olivia and Lily were a big part of that. I don't know if there were other, kids or students or adults helping out with that, but it was so great. I mean, it was really great.
You know,
I-
If that's all they, Austin doesn't do any, they all get on a trailer and stand there. I mean, that's a parade.
Right, but a parade,
It was
but that's
fun.
a huge,
You know what, it timed
Part
out
there.
good.
it did.
The kids
Yeah.
were too, we like, for football players, we like to be there at 5:45, so they
Yeah,
weren't,
they made that happen.
it wasn't like,
Yeah,
I thought it went really well.
It made
and-
the community very happy.
It
as well.
did.
Yeah.
In
It did.
addition to, it made the
I thought
kids
the
happy.
timing though.
but it made-
Yeah, I
Yeah,
too.
I thought 5:15 was, I mean,
Yeah.
it just to get, the game's coming, you can go tailgate.
Well, and I kind of
And-
wondered from year to year, like whether people were really wanting it or not, or, it was like, but yeah, I would
I
agree,
think-
the community,
I think doing it later, like we're doing it, is the thing to do. 'cause
I think
after
so
school,
too.
No,
no,
no, yeah.
Lead it right into the game.
Yeah,
Right,
it gets
good.
people-
yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
it had a cool, like almost a college vibe around here, like a game day vibe. It really
Yeah,
did.
Well-
The,
It helps that the football team was winning. I mean, I hate to be
Well-
that,
But even still,
I think we got a lot of
yeah.
turnout from the community, just driving around. It's like,
I mean,
that was
that's what I was
pretty,
gonna ask.
that was pretty impressive.
Because up at the school, there was a lot of people standing there. But I
Yeah,
was just wondering how, like, were there people,
There was a lot of, people along the street the
I mean,
whole.
I'm sure it's not like, right, 5 rows deep,
right, it was, I mean, once you got out of here, it was pretty sparse, but I mean,
Oh,
it was it was great.
I thought
It was
it-
awesome.
the,
I think that-
the intention, from the feedback from both Pacelli staff and our staff is that if it's something that students really want to do, they need to invest their own time into it.
Right.
And so that was not the message that I shared. Generally, that was the
Yeah.
message. I didn't say it like that, but it was, because in the past, it was 3 kids working on it during school hours
Yeah.
and the rest of the student body
Yep.
stood around and waited.
Yeah.
And what we ended up with, the
Yeah.
2x4 to, make on an X with some TP on it was just not much to it. So they really invested, the students did a fabulous job investing
maybe
into
we
it
throw it back to them every year.
and say, this is,
Well,
make it what you want.
I
You know
mean, that was one of the questions I had, it like, as great of a job as they did, because they did a great job. Do we want kids being in charge of that? I mean, I mean, totally in charge of it, totally in charge.
Some ownership to it.
At first, I was like, yeah,
We're gonna- We're gonna have years where it's not
Right.
gonna
Then
happen.
we're
No.
not gonna have it.
No.
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
Terry's question is a good one because at first it was like, yeah, you guys want it, go for it. But
Right,
the more I saw and heard about it, I was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
what's it gonna be
right, I
like,
know,
and
I
so
know.
I don't know. Is that something that would Legacy be willing to help or I
Right.
don't want to keep throwing it
And
on
I'm
you,
not
but
saying,
just,
but maybe
but-
let's just think of,
it'd be nice to have an adult in charge, at least not necessarily in charge, but just kind of
Supervisor.
directing
Right,
Yes.
some of the.
But, I thought, your guys' poll was awesome, but there's some planning there, but I was totally cool with.
I might have put a lot of work.
just the
into that.
simple ones.
I thought it was fine with
Yeah.
the kids sitting on the back of the trailer with their signs and throwing candy and being excited.
Yeah,
I thought that was all right too.
Yeah.
You
it would
know?
be nice to have maybe the fight song being played or, like the school fight.
That's
song.
what we do.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
But you know, maybe once the band,
right.
maybe, you know.
That'd be
Miss-
great.
Have a rack of
Well,
their own. with
Miss
the band.
Hudson at the end couldn't walk very well, so we just got on the back of the semi trailer
Yep.
and played, which is fine.
Yeah,
Cause, you know, there's only, back then, there's only so many kids and there's only so much time and there's only so much. I mean, you were in the band, you were in the marching band. Well, I don't know, march.
And then you pull kids from their grades and they wanna be.
They wanna be on the
grades. It's
floor.
hard when it's
It
a
is.
small.
Yeah, I
school.
know.
I know.
They want to be with their friends.
They do.
So I don't know.
No, but it was good. It was
I
great.
think
And-
that's something that we've decided what time we should do.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
And I'm glad that you guys didn't just say no. You know,
That's kind of how I felt because
I know,
but-
but I'm glad that it was no, but if you want to take it on,
ask
go for
Chad.
it.
But the kids that are.
She was pissed. Oh my gosh.
You know those. I mean, you had two other kids that,
Yes,
Right,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
I know.
but even this, from the seniors were even complimentary of their colleagues, of their other peers were saying, well, this was these guys that did the float. I mean, a lot of it. They didn't even, they saw the school spirit in that as far as, you know, other students,
Yeah.
other grade levels took part
Good
into it.
adulting lesson for them.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was.
I
That's
felt
solid.
like they were like, oh, we need to be there because they put time into this.
Yeah.
We need to,
Right.
you know, be respectful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's how I saw my son at least. He's like, no, if I gotta be up, I gotta be up there,
Yep,
you know,
That's cool.
so. It was good, but I thought the timing was, what time of day we did it was helpful.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you can't get no one else.
Going to the tailgating
it
party
was,
right after.
yeah, it sure was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The whole thing came together.
Yep.
But anyway,
It was great. So,
Great
yeah,
night.
great, yeah, and the newsletter. I really like the newsletter. Who's in charge of that? I like it.
The seniors under
nice.
Miss Lewinsky's leadership,
Oh, it's so
I
good.
kind of gave them a directive and like, this is kind of what I would like it to. They impressed me with the layout. I was
So
like,
good,
this is really
yeah.
good. And I think,
Looks so nice.
I think Audrey has taken the lead of that, but, and even now staff is starting to, oh, I got this, I gotta get this out to people, so.
It's
Oh,
really,
okay.
you guys
Well, I
have
get
to-
some.
it's really good. You have to
Yep.
look at check your email.
I
It's really
don't,
good.
it doesn't get sent to my email.
So it's not the Lions thing. It's just newsletter.
It's a newsletter.
Xavier Lions.
It's a Lions Roar.
It's the Lions, yeah,
Okay,
Lions
yeah.
roar.
So the goal is to send out every Friday sometime.
Yep.
Sometimes it, It's
I must not
Monday,
be on there,
but-
But I don't get it.
It's good. Okay, that was it for me.
on one additional thing
One more
that
thing.
is on here, so. Unfortunately, the pre-K concert on the 15th, our music guy that we've had, Mark, who's done he is unavailable tonight, so that day is we're looking at changing dates for that, so. The reason we wanted it next to, 2 days in a row was to disrupt the Fayette and basketball team as little as possible, but now he's not able to do that, so I gotta meet with the ladies to pick a new date
We
for
must
that,
be away on the 15th. Yes.
that or no game, I can't remember, but so it's a bummer because we did all best intentions, but now we may have to change it, so.
All right.
That it? Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
I-
Opposed?
That.